Shot.
Hello, guys, and welcome to the Condor Blue Live stage. I'm here with Michael Tobin at NAB. How's it going, Michael?
It's going great. Thanks for having me.
Vegas. It's fun.
Vegas again.
You know what's crazy about Vegas is the boogers. Do you get boogers in your nose? It's like a lot of boogers.
Oh, stepping off the plane, it's just like all the air is just like, everything's
and
dry.
It's just like all the dirt just goes up into your nostrils, and
We're from the Midwest. We're used to like some.
and then my lips are so chapped right now.
Absolutely. I think everyone at the house is smart for like everyone's like, we got the chapstick.
Yeah, that's so. If you want to know, if you ever come to Vegas, make sure you bring chapstick.
NAB, you can leave the camera at home, but bring the
Yes,
chapstick.
a little bit of moisture always helps. But anyway, speaking of moisture, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
That's awesome,
It's
man.
always good to be back
Yeah.
and just having fun.
So what's really exciting about having you here, Michael, is that we are friends and we do talk outside of this this environment, and it's been fun to watch over the last year, especially your like kind of shift into just like quick content, relevant content, adding value to people's lives. It feels like your channel has gone through another kind of like renaissance. Would you say you've like learned some new things this year or last year, and like, where are you at on YouTube right now?
Absolutely. I feel like everything I've been slowly kind of figuring out both that, every creator kind of tries to find that Venn diagram where it's like, what do you like to make as the creator and what does your audience wants to see? And I have to give huge prop to the wife who's off screen, who helped me figure all that out. She kind of hopped on the past 4 or 5 months to look at analytics and data and be like, hey, this is actually what works. And then I kind of just go deeper into that. And obviously I've landed on a lot of Blackmagic stuff, and Blackmagic created an app for iPhone, and those videos did very well. So it was like the marriage of my two favorite companies making two favorite innovative things.
And the Vision Pro too.
And then the Vision Pro, and doing everything with that. It's just been an awesome year for innovation in the kind of capturing space, whether that's for professional work or content creation. And yeah, it's just been really fun, and I'm happy that the videos performing well, and it's one thing to like see like, oh, the views are going up, but when you're in a place like this, and I've actually been hearing from people talk about like, oh, like I loved this because it helped me make this purchase decision or learn how to use this thing that I bought, you kind of see the actual value of creating that video rather than just like, oh, made good views.
Absolutely. I love what you're doing because it proves that the model of like making films for YouTube doesn't work. Because
it's difficult.
YouTube is not a place to watch movies. It's not a place for narrative series.
The Vision Pro is.
But being yourself on camera and talking about things that you're interested in, adding value to people's lives, it's a social media. It's not Netflix. I know it's replacing Netflix in a lot of ways, but the things that make YouTubers, I think, work really well is when they're fully authentic, fully themselves, and it's not necessarily like the visuals of everything. That being said, you're a professional and you have really good, high-quality audio, great visuals, but I know you've juggled like making films, and I remember one time you did one in Israel with your wife, and you were so stoked about it, like traveling X amount of miles, da-da-da, and then it didn't do well, right?
Yeah.
But then you did a Blackmagic video that took you 2 hours, and it got like 100,000 views, right?
Oh,
so like,
very much.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah, it took me way too many years to just like accept that like that's the way it is, and now I forget who gave the advice a number of years ago, but like the 4 for you, 1 for me sort of thing is what I'll follow, or a different way is like 4 for what works, and then 1 like experimental, where like if you like to do the doing scene recreations, or you want to just upload your short film to YouTube, it's like as long as you do it knowing that like, all right, that's probably not going to be the thing that gets 1 million views, but then you have like, here's the gear that I used on it, here's the behind the scenes, like here's a tutorial of how to do that effect in that video. Like that's the stuff, like you said.
Do you remember Film Riot back in the day when he was making movies and stuff? I would notice that his behind-the-scenes videos would get 3 times as many views as the short film.
Absolutely.
But Josh Yo's over here, I think he's a good example of like, he married the gear review with the film.
Yeah.
So like Anamorphia and the stuff that he's done is like he's sort of talking about gear, which is inherently YouTube, but it's wrapped in this like filmmaking thing.
And he introduced like the Siri like computer
Yeah.
character. It's storytelling through the medium
exactly.
of YouTube, which is a very interesting process. And it's I mean, you know this just as well as anyone, of like finding that marriage and that blend between the two is very interesting.
And so tell me about thumbnails, because I mean it's a topic that's on my mind a lot recently. And you and I have talked a lot about thumbnails and stuff. And I don't know if any of you guys are watching or YouTubers or aspiring YouTubers. Like, what's become your like go-to kind of thumbnail philosophy with your content, and even just ideation, I guess, in general?
I mean, it's kind of gone hand in hand with the kind of fast that like I kind of have become someone who has this process of like I can make a video very quickly. Like you said, if I can be, it's not always about being first, but I'm trying to find that balance of getting the content out quick, but still having good production value. And so from the thumbnail as well as the video, I will either take that, I'll either pull a still from that, and then as you and I have talked in length about generative fill is because I am not a photo illustration person at all. And so being able to composite quality thumbnails together very quickly has been very helpful. I've gotten lucky, like the other day, my Black Magic video that did very well, I was able to take the base Photoshop file from a video I did a couple months ago and just replace it with because I did like a rumored Black Magic video and then I just replaced it with the real one that came out. So that way I could get it out fast. But
cool.
I have learned, and I think I love following you on X, Twitter, whatever.
I still say Twitter.
There have been times where a video, one of those fast news videos, I may bust it out in 2 hours, but then I'll take another 2 hours on a thumbnail because I mean, you know better than anyone, like, what's the point of making a short video, long video, if no one's going to click on it?
Exactly.
So, and we've been,
again, I mean, arguably art.
So true.
There's two sides to the coin. You could just be pure artist and make for the sake of making, right? So that's an argument for short films or whatever. But as a full-time content creator trying to build a business, that question of like, what's the point?
And I'm curious on your opinion on it as well, since you actually do the thumbnails even more, and for multiple creators, is we've been more experimenting in the like replacing thumbnails, like or having 2 or 3 versions ready to go,
for sure,
and then having those different titles and thumbnail changes and stuff. And
I
know with your clients, like, do they have you make one, or is it usually like, hey, I need 5 or 10?
We've done 3 before with different creators, and you just kind of, if the video's good, if the idea is good, and you kind of know in your gut that it is, being relentless with the packaging until you figure it out. Like, you could probably land on something if the video's actually good, and it's hard to be objective and like remove yourself from the effort. I did that 100 movies thing, and I was so excited about it. But then, like, objectively now I look back on it, I feel like it was like kind of cringy. But
it's like the Scorsese. If you're not like wanting to throw up at your project of 6 months ago, then like you're not doing it right or whatever. And
so sometimes you have to accept defeat. But being relentless with your packaging and thumbnail title. When I was working with Soundstripe, there were times where we had a video that I knew was like, it was a cool concept, like Ari Alexa versus Venice. I'm like, this should be a good video. And it was a good video, but the packaging wasn't right. And it just kind of blended into the sea of other thumbnails. And then I made a version where it was just the Venice and I think it was Canon, the Venice and the Canon on a white background, and it just said game over. And that's all it said. It was like
so
super simple. But the simplicity sold it, and the idea itself was good enough. It was, $100,000 Venice versus $5,000 Canon.
Well, and we've seen that with like thumbnails from the biggest creators outside of our niche, just in the entertainment world, where like, it's the cliche YouTuber green grass, like infinite green grass. Is like simply making it to where like, everyone has 0.2 seconds to scroll and capture somebody. And obviously we've talked about like the first 5 seconds, but just with the thumbnail and everything, like I feel like with the speed of the video process that I've been trying to make, and also over time you start to learn, oh, what's going to get clicks and not. And so I feel like I finally have, like last time we were on this stage and talking, I feel like I was still figuring out what my style was and what color tones I wanted and how to capture things. But I feel like in the past year, it's like, all right, this feels like a more cohesive kind of message, to where if you pop up in suggested, it's like, oh, that's from the same creator that I enjoy.
And I don't know how relevant all this YouTuber talk is to our viewers, just because like it is kind of industry, like, you know, we are YouTubers, so we like to talk about it. But like what you're talking about is adding value to filmmakers and to video professionals. And so like, what is your passion? What is your heart and your focus with your content? Obviously, aside from building your YouTube and building a business, like what's the point of all this?
Sure. I mean, ultimately, and I said this the other day, but like my personal one is really, I'm trying to make the ultimate home video.
I love
so
that.
like when I'm 80, like I just want to, and I don't care if it's like if I have an Airy one day or if it's the Blackmagic camera app on iPhone 36, like whatever it is, like I just love being able to like capture with powerful cameras that give a really good image. And what I struggled with was what you talked about in the beginning of like these news videos perform really well, where it's just like, hey, Blackmagic released this thing, let's talk about it, versus like, oh, here's this project I get. And I see comments of both of like, are you actually like a filmmaker? It's like, well, I don't upload most of my final work because, like you said, no one clicks on that stuff. But that's where I like I enjoy talking to people in environments like this about new releases and announcements, and so to me those videos are like that, where I just don't get the other half of the conversation until I upload it. So I've been lucky to where I enjoy the fast videos, the news type stuff, but then hopefully every 4 or 5 I get more creative, like the one I just did on One Let last week, where I did like scene recreations and stuff, and tried to like fit a scene into a horror film and stuff, and like that video did pretty well. So like it's cool finding the balance.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much work and time it takes to build a YouTube channel. And it is this weird cycle of like, if you want to be a full-time creator, you have to make good YouTube videos that perform well, that get clicks. And okay, I'm not a working filmmaker, but you guys aren't clicking on the films I'm making. So in order for me to pay my bills, I have to make videos that you will click on. So it's this weird cycle.
As you know, doing this with kids is
absolutely
is a whole extra level of fun.
How do you balance that? Because you work from home, your wife also works with you.
Yep.
Does she stay home?
I had to force to become a morning person more.
Okay.
So it's not perfect, but the thing I try to strive for is like from like 5 to 6 a.m. wake up and work on videos till like noon or 1 when my son gets home from school, and then the rest of the day I can either enjoy family time or choose to go over to his house and crash his party, or continue working. But it's definitely balanced. There's plenty of late nights and all over the place, and the kids are old enough now where they'll just come in, and at one point I had them throw Angel Bird boxes at me, and I was like,
great.
it's just fun.
Having fun with it.
Yeah.
So you're the Blackmagic guy. We've got a lot of big Blackmagic news this week.
Oh, yeah.
The new camera. How do you say it? The
Pixis.
Pixis. What are your thoughts on the Pixis and anything else from Blackmagic? But let's start with that one, because I think that's the most interesting, at least to me. It's a whole new body and a new design. We'll probably see this body for the next 10 years, but
Which honestly is fine by me, because they finally answered the call of the box, right? And I was starting to lose hope, to be honest, right before it was released, that we'd ever get a box. And
you had box depression.
Yeah, box depression. And I got a ton of comments where it was very interesting, because you have the pro market, people from being like, oh, this is a micro Ursa, who were unhappy about things, and then pocket people were unhappy about things. And so I asked Blackmagic when I interviewed him yesterday, I was like, is this like the next, like, is this replacing the pocket line, or is this kind of like a new line in the middle? And they kind of went that route of like, no, the pocket still is for a certain type of customer, and that's why they use the 6K full frame sensor, which there's pros and cons to that. So overall, I like it. There's a few things for me personally that make me think about, do I want to sell my 6K Pro to it, like the internal NDs and the lack of higher frame rates on that sensor.
Yeah, and the screen too. Like the screen is very practically useful on the Pocket. It's a nice big touchscreen.
You can buy the Pocket line and, throw in a media card, add a lens, and you're good to go. This one is definitely more of like you add a monitor on top. And that side screen really is for like the menus. It's kind of like, the Komodo, the Komodo has a screen on top, which is slightly more useful, but it's also very tiny. So really, it's the same thing where it's like its primary use is to change the settings.
Yeah.
But if you happen to have it on a tripod, you may stand off to the side, and it's a nice little 4-inch screen.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that it's not a plastic body. It's the magnesium alloy or whatever.
So this is a new product category for them. They're not replacing the Pocket line.
Nope. My guess is, like you said, for the next 10 years, we'll probably see a new sensor come out, and there'll be like a Pixis version and a Pocket version is my guess.
Cool. And then the Ursa 12K, and then there's a 17K, is that right?
Yeah, so the 12K, and I like how Grant, the CEO, put it, that it is the dream camera. Like they finally were like, all right, let's put every feature we can think of into this. And so there's the 12K, and the 17K will come out later this year, and it's the same camera, just a different sensor option.
Good Lord. 17K.
And he said in the release that he basically wants to have a option for those who want the IMAX experience, but to have a digital workflow.
Okay.
So that's kind of the intended purpose of the 17K. But
well, who's he targeting? Because Chris Nolan's not going to use that anytime soon.
I was going to say, clearly he might as well just said, Chris, call me up. Let's test out this camera.
And then who's the cinematographer for Dune 2? What's his name?
Oh my gosh.
Greg Fraser. Hey, buddy. What's
Thank
up?
you.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
Great. Perfect timing.
Well, him or I feel like
but he would use an Ari.
James Cameron.
They're going to use Alexas.
But James Cameron likes the innovation of new stuff. So
yeah.
I feel like maybe, Avatar 5 could be shot on 17K.
Yeah, but he's in with Sony big time.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
But anyways, I like where his head's at. And I mean the Ursa line kind of, I haven't really thought about the Ursa series in a while. And it's
cool. I mean,
really
they're really diving into the camera to cloud. It's built-in Wi-Fi.
Really cool.
So it's very competitively. He apologized for making it more expensive, even though it's still a better price deal.
He apologized.
Yeah, he was like, we had to make it more expensive because we put a lot of really cool stuff in it.
Basically what he's saying is like they're not profiting off of it. But that attitude is telling you that they literally had to up it just for sake of production.
Well, and people in my position and everyone who has their thoughts on pros and cons have to remember that the film, like these film cameras, is kind of the fun side projects for Blackmagic. Like their bread and butter is now DaVinci Resolve and broadcast.
All the hardware.
Yeah, like the hardware for live broadcast. The pocket cameras, the Pixis, those are sure.
Literally every live event that you watch on television, every sporting event, every political
they either
event.
make the switcher, the software, the hardware. Yeah,
exactly.
Or the studio cameras. Yeah,
they're using the studio cameras.
They're very much
more than
the
likely
Apple
it's not
workflow.
The cameras, but they've got switchers and all sorts of hardware that a lot of us don't even interface with.
Yeah.
But you talk to any AV guy, and that would be somebody with long, stringy hair and wears all black, with maybe some all black New Balance or Velcro shoes. Those guys. They know exactly.
Did you describe Lucas?
No.
But yeah, when I do my recaps of those videos, I'm always just broadcast stuff. That's kind of a different world for me, but sounds cool.
What's I asked this question to Dunna. What's a camera or a piece of equipment that maybe somebody doesn't know about, or it's an underrated piece of gear that you just are having fun with right now? Is there anything that you're using or playing with, or that you've recently played with that you're just having a ton of fun with?
Yeah, honestly, I'm enjoying a lot of iPhone stuff is coming out.
Yeah.
Because of the
accessories and stuff.
Accessories, and obviously Condor has some awesome stuff. The Stallman clamp. I literally have this whole show. I left my big camera at home, and I've just been doing the Condor and Angel Bird.
Oh, nice.
The CF Express Type B, 4 terabytes.
I love that.
I filled up my iPhone 20 times since its release.
4 terabytes. That's amazing. It's so fast. This is definitely overkill for like
Yeah.
everybody, right? But this does.
They have an SD version.
But this also like gives you kind of peace of mind that like it's gonna be rock solid.
You know it's gonna be rock solid, and it just integrates. Like in the past, I've been doing iPhone videos for years, and most of the time it's just like fun. Like I'm just, here's the iPhone 12, and it works. But this is the first year where it's like every single professional project, YouTube video, I've integrated Apple Log, iPhone 15 footage.
Amazing.
Somewhere, whether it's the whole video or just.
I
like
notice you're using the same LUT all the time. What's it called? One LUT.
One LUT.
Right?
Yeah.
You didn't make that?
No, it's the company is One LUT, and
that's your favorite LUT for Apple right now.
Yeah, because they basically worked with Blackmagic pocket cameras and the iPhone to match it to Ari. I forget which Ari LUT, but it's an Ari Alexa that they match it to, which obviously I'm a fan of that look. And so it's a one-click button to make your iPhone look like an Ari.
It's amazing. I'm so excited to just, now that Apple has unleashed Apple Log and ProRes 422 and all that.
Hopefully we get some more pro features than iOS 18.
Yeah. But I mean, even just right now, like the iPhone 15 is like good enough to shoot anything.
Yeah.
Like literally.
God, if I was 15 right now and
could shoot a movie on it, easy. Steven Soderbergh should shoot a movie on it. He's already shot two on the other one.
I was gonna say he used stuff
the iPhone 7, which looked terrible.
Yeah,
all of his movies looked really bad, but it doesn't matter because story is king. So, but
100%.
I feel like if he used this camera now, it would look like a real movie. You wouldn't even notice.
No, you can absolutely match it. I'm convinced you can match it to almost any camera, and you put it in the right. I've always said an iPhone in Roger Deakins' hands is way more powerful than an Ari in mine or whatever. And
yeah, for sure. Because lighting and set design, those are the things that make things cinematic.
Absolutely.
But anyways, cool. Well. Yeah. What's like one last thing that you could leave with our listeners, something inspirational or like a mistake that you've made that you've learned recently that you could maybe share to help somebody else? I mean, it's come to mind. It's
kind of cliche, but it's just like for a number of years now we've been saying like the barrier of entry to get into any sort of space. When you want to be in the narrative world, the content creation world, like if you have a smartphone now, whether it's an iPhone shooting Apple Log or an iPhone 7, like it just start
definitely
making
not
stuff.
An Android. You can't do anything on Android.
Well, Blackmagic Camera app, it's again an exclusive for this show. I guess if you're on Android, you can now learn Blackmagic Camera app is coming to the Android hopefully in the next couple weeks.
I was just joking, obviously, but yeah. The Sony Xperia phones are good. They've got some good.
They have the best interface by far of anyone else. So that's my final thing.
Okay, so barrier of entry is lower than ever. Also, did you see the Adobe announcement today with the generative? You didn't see it?
No.
Adobe announced generative fill for video with like instant tracking and everything. So like they showed examples of like they opened up a case, like it was like a heist or something.
Yeah.
And they opened up the case and there was like 2 coins in there. They just drew a lasso around it, typed entire briefcase full of gold coins, and then it just went boom. It motion tracked it perfectly. And or like there was a cable on the ground from the production that got in the way of the set. They just go ahead, remove, gone, add a tie to his shirt.
I remember the tie one.
But it's better. So, and they're also working with Runway and OpenAI with Sora built into Premiere.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know last thing that I think you and I have talked a bunch about that there's a lot of like scary potentials for the future of AI and video, but I think just like generative fill with thumbnails, like I think it allows creators to have more time to be creative in the things that like rotoscoping that used to take days and weeks for a single scene. If that can fix that mundane issue, then we have time to just make better stories.
Yeah, my mom is not using generative fill to take away people's jobs.
Yeah. And there will be those people who do like the low budget stuff and the e-commerce like just spit it out, but like the true people like what other people make, and that will forever continue to be true.
Yeah, you have to have a creative mind behind it to really, dictate what's actually good and taste. I think that's the most valuable asset to have in the future is like they're going to be hiring people with good taste to like navigate the AI, because the AI can do whatever, but if you don't have good taste to determine this is bad, this is good, then the stuff's going to look like garbage.
Yeah.
So tastemakers are going to be the future
Ooh.
creators.
Love
So
it.
the best way to do that, consume lots of great art.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking at literal paintings, listening to great music, or studying some of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
And
Or if you want a potential future job in Hollywood, learn yourself some Unreal Engine, and
yeah, for sure.
it'd be good.
Well, Michael, it was a pleasure to have you on again, as always.
Thank you for having me
I'm grateful to
again.
have you as a friend. And where can people find all your stuff?
If you search Michael Tobin or at Initial Focus on basically any platform.
Great. And then you also have a new channel, Vision Pro channel.
That's true. The Vision Pro Experience and technically the Edit Place. So we got 2 main channels.
So yeah, Initial Focus is the name of your channel.
Yeah.
What's the origin with that? Is that your production company before?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was back in the freelance days.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But Michael Tobin as well, Tobin.
Yeah,
You can find it everywhere that you can search for things.
exactly.
Thanks,
Thanks for having
Michael.
me.
Found it.
Boom.